The inspector came in and took about 3 hours, walked through the house.
And he didn't notice this?
He didn't mention it at all.
Really? That is an absolute no-no. You're talking 6-8 inches of water.
Yeah.
Until it went out the back door.
Ooh, jeez, what a mess.
I was expecting the inspector to pretty much pull all the major issues out for me. I wasn't expecting all that to be missed.
But when they miss the obvious problems, I have a little worry already. Dan, he's a young guy, 25 years old, looking for his first home. Looks for an area that's affordable, small townhouse. Truth is, he liked the place. He loves the basement. It's open concept. It totally works for him. The idea is that he can fix it up along the way. He brings in a home inspector. A few things little sketchy within the report. What did he miss? I'm here to ask questions and get some answers for Dan. I'm here to do a Holmes inspection. And I'm gonna make it right.
I came here looking for the house with my fiance, and we walked through this house. And honestly, out of the 20 houses we've seen already, this one was just like an instant connect for both of us. We love the layout. I mean, it's a small house, but it doesn't feel like a small house. I wanted something that had a garage, at least 2-car driveway, and a backyard. We got past the ugly paint that was on the walls, and we decided, hey, this is the place for us. The inspector came in and took about 3 hours, walked through the house, and showed me a few things. He made it clear this is what he does for a living, and exclusively what he does for a living is home inspections, so I didn't really question his qualifications. That, and he came right from my realtor, who I trusted quite a bit. He noted that the bathroom could last a year. Funny thing is, 2 days after we moved in and I went to change a shower head, the wall fell down. And being my first major renovation, it's still not quite done, about 7 months later. It took only about 2 weeks for things to start going downhill in the house. And it was just one thing right after the other. It's the time more than anything that's really killing me, because I miss having a social life.
You must be Dan.
That's me.
How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for coming.
Hot day. So when'd you buy this?
I bought it in September.
Built in 1979, correct?
You got it.
Okay, and it sounds like you're having all kinds of problems.
Yeah, everything from temperature issues to sewage backups.
Well, that stinks. Let's take a look.
I was expecting the inspector to pretty much pull all the major issues out for me. Bottom line, if he did his job right, I probably wouldn't have bought the house.
Nothing about this was in the report. So our corner bead has really deteriorated because we see all the signs of the rust right across the bottom. So that means we've had a lot of leakage and we have a lot of mold. If you see mold build up on this side, imagine what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah, I'm worried about opening that up.
Yeah, so I'm glad you didn't touch it. You have to be careful with mold. If you touch it, you can actually put the spores in the air and then you're going to be breathing them in. Was that accessible?
There was just a motorcycle across the bottom here, and you could clearly see that this was on the wall here.
You're not allowed to put a vent in the garage. A car can come in, and what happens when you have off-gassing from the vehicle?
Goes
right into the house.
Exactly.
That is an absolute no-no.
I didn't know it was a problem.
That's why you hired a home inspector.
That's right.
You're not supposed to know everything. So let me guess, you looked at the listing, you wanted the area, you said, okay, I want the house, so you put the offer in based on an inspection, then you got a home inspector, right? So I always say get the home inspector before you look for a house so you find the right person. You know, I don't want to say he's the wrong person, but I am here, aren't I? Let's go inside and take a look if you don't mind. It looks pretty good from here. Bathroom?
It is.
Noisy fan?
Absolutely.
It's pretty dark. You had a lot of smokers in the house. Did you know that?
They did smoke, yes.
That's definite. Nicotine. Absolute major signs of nicotine. Closet? What's this? Oh,
This
garage.
is the garage.
Oh, nice rail. This wasn't like this, was it?
Not like that severe, but it was certainly loose and there was some broken pieces.
That is in really rough shape. And he didn't notice this?
He didn't mention it at all.
Really? That sucks. Now, I definitely feel a heat change. This is hot. This is your freezing cold closet?
Well, right now it's going to be a sauna, as it is the middle of summer.
I don't like closets on an outside wall for many reasons. One, it's going to be hot in the summer. Two, it's going to be freezing in the winter, and I'm sure you have experienced that. You just told me the sauna.
The inspector missed quite a bit. Upstairs, the air conditioning was on that day, but we walked upstairs into the bedroom, and the closet was significantly warmer. I mean, we're talking 15 degrees difference, and he didn't note that at all. And it turns out in the wintertime, it's much worse. I'd actually have frozen pairs of jeans.
It's just bad design. Keep the closet on an interior wall. Why? Because there's no heat in here, and the reason there's no heat in here, it's based on square footage when it comes to heat runs, heat calculations. If it's under a certain square footage, it doesn't need a heat register. Okay, but it's on the outside wall. You got a solid core door. It does no venting, no louver doors, so we have air in there. No air movement into the closet. It's going to be very cold. Okay, there's your access to the attic right there. Now, I saw in the report he did take a picture inside the attic. It looks like he did not go in. It looks like the picture was taken from the ladder.
Yeah, he literally just went up on the ladder, stuck his hands up there, and took a few pictures.
Stuck his hands up there.
Yeah.
That's what is supposed to be in a report. What's the insulation in the attic? What's the condition of the roof? Are there any signs of moisture? Is there possibly any mold in the house? Well, I saw mold in your garage. Now I'm worried about your attic. Now I'm worried about your closet. And these are things I know. I can walk in and say, look, man, you're gonna have problems here. You're gonna have problems up there. This is why, if you bring in the wrong home inspector that cannot explain that, you're in trouble. I like your bathroom sign.
Everyone loves that thing.
Yeah, his and hers. I like that. Very nice. Let's go upstairs now. How many square feet is this?
Roughly 1,300.
2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bed, so 3 bedroom total. They are old windows. So the wood hasn't even been addressed in years.
This was actually one I fell through, because when I was up on the roof trying to figure out why water was going through some of the soffit in the backyard, I actually put my arm against the window, and I went right through the window into the office, landed on my back, just like,
Oh, no way. So you were outside and leaned against the window.
I just literally had
Did it break
just
the
like
glass?
this. No, the glass was fine and everything.
It just fell out.
You can see like the plastic trim is holding it in place is actually broken.
This window has absolute 0 R value. These are old windows. These are over 30 years old, original windows. We can see it's falling apart. We can tell by looking at it. Now, in his report, he said a little bit of paint and caulking, and you're gonna save some money. I would have said you need a new window. Where was the drain that flooded?
The drain's over here. 2 weeks after we moved in, while I was at work, my girlfriend called me and said, hey, basement's full of water. I came home and it turns out you could literally see sewage coming out of it and seeping into the basement. We toweled off the best we could, but it got the carpet, damaged some of the walls. It's kind of a nightmare. It filled up the basement and the crawl space up to almost the stairs. And I cut out here.
You're talking 6-8 inches of water.
Yeah.
Until it went out the back door.
Almost.
Well, the inspector's off the hook on this one. It's not like he's got a snake camera. He's gonna go through the drains. I've seen enough. I'm gonna go get my tools. I'm gonna go through this whole place. I'm gonna put together a report about all the things that you probably don't know about and some of the things you do, and definitely a lot of things the home inspector did not show.
This house has been creating this big gap between my girlfriend at the time and I. I was hoping that if I applied for this show, it'd give us an opportunity to live in a house we actually are happy with. Instead, it didn't happen quick enough. I feel far better with Mike's inspection because even in the short time that he walked around my house, he was able to find more things wrong that was missed by the original inspector when he was here for 3 hours.
Imagine a home inspector coming in with a camera and totally missing the black on the wall. That's mold. Now, I don't know if that's just the surface mold. The paper is actually, I'm gonna disrupt it too much. Now, I don't see really too much evidence that it's coming from up above, and let's remember something. The bathroom's on the other side of this. Is there a possibility it's coming from the toilet? That's a good question. Now, all the signs are here that it was really cold upstairs because the builder would not drywall the front, nor would they insulate the front. That is an outside of the home and nothing to do with the inside. And because it's closed off now and there's no vents on the roof, if you think it's hot in here right now, you can imagine that attic space that has no breathability. Not a good sign. Should have been in the report. No garage door closer. Go figure. That's right in front of my eyes. All garages need a door closer on the door. Think about it. Your car's running, you're gonna off gas inside the house. These are things that are standard that most home inspectors are gonna find. But when they miss the obvious problems, I have a little worry already. Now, in the report I read, windows are pretty old, need to be painted, caulked, and it would probably be wiser to do that than replace them. That was really bad advice for the home inspector to tell a potential home buyer. You know, just paint your windows, do some caulking. It's cheaper than replacing them. You'll save money in the long run by putting in efficient windows. Well, now that the air conditioning is back on, we can even see just the cool air coming out. It even tells me the temperature if I look down at the floor. Look at how blue that is. Nice and blue, eh? The temperature coming out of there is 19 degrees Celsius. Shows it's doing its job, doesn't it? Every home inspector should have one. 31.5 degrees. I go into the closet. Bam. Ooh, huge difference. Superheat. Okay, that's at the door, which kind of tells me, and you can even see that, how hot that is. See the yellow? At this point, I will be going into that attic, that's for sure. Now, I understand why a lot of home inspectors don't move furniture, they don't touch tiles because they don't want to do damage. And you break something, you got to pay for it. The truth is, we need to see, because we can see, what could be up there. Let's just take a look. You know, look at the floor joist. I can put that one back. Whoever was in here before smoked a lot. Look at this. You can see the white clearly on the edge. This is not paint. This is a little bit of tobacco. Now, not the smartest door. What is in behind that door? What does the furnace need? Air, hot water tank, gas. So we have a flame here, we have a flame here. If we have two doors that seal off and it doesn't have enough air, it's gonna shut the flame out. No good. This room needs to breathe. Very important. Whether it's a hole in the bottom of the door or the door is kept open, it needs to breathe. There's that dryer exhaust vent that Dan himself has capped off. It should be completely removed. If there's any way of letting those gases come in, they're gonna come in. It's the only house on the street that did not put up soffit, metal soffit over top of the wood. And probably the smartest, because I can tell by looking at that, they just went over it, and I'll bet you anything they didn't drill any holes. Things I'm used to seeing. I have one vent up in the upper bedroom and one vent here in the front above the door. So no venting, one vent here, and total signs of that soffit being so wet. More than likely it's ice dam issues. And I'm positive the same problem exists out here in the back. And when we have ice dams, that means a few things. That means we have improper or insufficient insulation in the attic. The hot air is escaping into the attic. It's melting the snow at the roof. Water comes down to the eaves, and that section is a cold zone. It will freeze quickly, work its way back up underneath the shingles, and get into the soffit and/or house. That's what we call an ice dam. So something tells me if I ask them the question, does all your neighbors have icicles hanging down? The answer is probably yes. See, not only did they do brick sills the wrong way, they've laid them flat and not on their ends. If you're gonna do bricks, they must be on this angle, not this way. If we look up, we can see the holes of the bricks. They're supposed to use solid bricks if they do this. And if there's a crack in the mortar, guess where the water goes? Inside your home. Dan ran this exhaust dryer run. We already have lint buildup. We need to pay attention to that. We block that, we can cause fires. This is one of those houses that remind me of a can of worms. And I'm in the garden.
Oh, does that ever stink? Wow.
You think you hired the right home inspector?
I just went with what the real estate agent suggested. I just didn't know any better, to be honest.
Man, why don't we always learn from our own mistakes? How's your forehead? Does it hurt?
A little bit.
It's just from banging it?
Yeah.
You didn't cut the grass?
No. Looks like we need some gardening.
He's freezing cold. We have water issues. We have electrical issues. We have drain issues. We have issues. Look at the mold zone.
Yeah, it's funny, eh? Like, I can't figure it out. There's no moisture on the walls at all, except for just the last 4 feet.
We have no problems here. We're getting softer as we go down, and then really soft. Let's take a look at this. Just want to see.
That is really wet, isn't it? Oh, look at that.
It's really black on the other side. See it?
Okay. And that is just falling apart. There's a lot of moisture here, bud.
At this point here, I know the toilet's on the other side, and it was either somebody washing the wall, spraying it, or there was a leak in the bathroom and it just wicked its way back up because it's always going to travel from wet to dry, right? And if it's dry up, it'll travel up. Is it coming from the roof line? And I really don't see any indication of that, but if it's a clear run downhill where the water's just coming down, because on this side I have an awful lot as well. We'll know more as we take it down.
Look at that. Oh, geez.
It's just the bottom.
And look at that. Nails rusting.
There's definitely wet zones in here.
Yeah.
On the wood.
I see nothing underneath, though, eh? No staining on the floorboards underneath here.
Strange way of doing it.
Yeah.
So rather than taking the foundation, they built the jet out into the garage for the bathroom. I'm in the closet. Not wet there.
It's definitely feeling stronger down this way.
Okay, everybody's clear to go ahead and open it up. So let's get them to come in and drop all this. I want this, we'll close the door and I want this all down. Sherry, what do we see here? What am I looking at?
Filthy insulation.
Why?
Airflow.
Correct. So that's filtering the air. This filters the air so you're not going to breathe the dirty stuff. The filter goes here. So the insulation is acting as a filter, and that's why it's dirty. That insulation, and I don't like it, should fit loosely. So it should fit just snug in place. Don't bend it, don't crank it, nice and loosely. And whenever we do insulation, you see it just looks like carpet, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't look like carpet. It looks like mountains, actually. Mm-hmm. You see the ends here? Mm-hmm. All that does is allow air movement through the ends. You see that black spot right there?
Yeah.
The air's coming through it instead of being resistant, which is our value, on the outside of the insulation. So you're gonna go ahead and do what?
Take it all down.
I love you. Danny leaned against the window and he fell right inside. I mean, they're a piece of crap, right? We know that. It's as old as the house. And he's talking about how cold it is in the bedroom, for one, how cold it is in the house, how hot it is in the summer. So there's no performance on those windows.
None at all. There's no weather stripping whatsoever. That's just glass in a track.
Here's the advice he gets from the home inspector. It's cheaper and smarter just to put up new caulking and paint the windows. I say change the windows.
Okay, here we have a builder grade wood frame window, very builder attitude, plug up the hole and that's it. Air leakage enormous. They have punched it at the bottom, if you see a lot of holes there, just to let the water out. That's how bad it is. Just put a lot of holes in, so if it rains, water gets out. But also means a lot of air is getting in, so not energy efficient whatsoever. We're going to replace this with what we call brick-to-brick, full replacement window system.
Oh, right there.
Vinyl, maintenance-free, very energy efficient, Energy Star certified, and the homeowner will be very happy with it.
And performance is 10 times better?
I'd say more than 10 times.
That's good math. I like that. Thank you.
No problem, Mike.
I see all kinds of really dirty insulation, which tells me we have a lot of air leakage. You can see it in spots everywhere. No insulation whatsoever across this wall here. And in this wall here is another bedroom where it steps up to the next level, so it's like a back split. The problem being is that's going to be extremely cold. The funny thing about it, this is the front of the house, and he says this room is cold. Everything up here is going to be cold. The inspector should have caught that.
Okay.
Hey, holy cow, you okay?
Yes. Be careful with that.
Oh, man, watch it. Your back might break. You better get some backup.
Well, this is an outside zone, so what we want to do is spray foam this. This is a closet above, and we know that the closet is absolutely freezing. Well, if it's anything like the insulation that was done in there, it's probably the exact same here. So when I spray foam the garage, it makes sense. Spray foam right in through here. Get every outside zone as warm as possible. Scalpel. Oh, does that ever stink? Wow. Either that's a lot of animals or it's a lot of moisture rotting something in there. Ooh. Oh, geez, what a mess. I'm just trying not to let anything touch me. Well, you can see here that the mice have gotten in here and just created complete havoc. Not much R value left in that thing. They're ripping at the insulation, they're pulling it apart, they're breaking down the actual R value. I mean, the insulation wasn't done very well anyway, but looks like the mice had an access point through the garage to actually get up in here to the warm side, because that is the inside of the house, that's the floor. Oh, they just tore this to shreds, wow. Mouse hotel, boys. It might not be too bad. I don't see signs of it in the house. I mean, he does have 2 cats here. Doesn't look like they're actually doing their jobs. As Carl says it, he thinks they're vegetarians, so. Mice are always going to be a problem at some point. You have a house, they have access points in, they're going to want to get into your house in the winter months to stay warm. But if they really get into your house, they can cause electrical issues, which you really don't want. They can cause insulation issues. They can actually do damage to your home. They can end up costing you a lot of money. What happens when you eat through your insulation? Cold areas in your house. That's what's happening.
That's a really terrible smell, isn't it? Unfortunately, to do with a sewage backup, you're going to have the urine, you're going to have the feces. It's really not going to mix well with the fibers in the carpet, and I'm really smelling it. So we're going to lose this carpet, and we're going to give you new carpet, and it's going to smell nice when we're done.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Now that we have the garage opened up, it gives us a better picture of what's going on here. I mean, look at this. They've used the wall cavity as a return air duct to feed the furnace. Here's my whole subject about using the inside of your home as an air return. Look at all the crap in there.
And you're breathing that in every single day.
Not to mention having this open cavity can draw the off-gassing from the vehicle right through the furnace throughout the house. We do see that we had ice dams issue, right? That's for sure. That's why we had the moisture in there. What I don't like is they didn't close off from this house to her house and a fire stop. Yeah. So remember, the insulation that had the biggest amount of black was right in the center here, right?
Right.
What's there right now?
The vent.
Yeah. So it was pulling the air through the floor register around the pipe. Oh. That's why it was so dark there. And I don't really see too many signs of moisture coming in here. So I don't think it has anything to do with the water here. I think the toilet was leaking. The other thing is somebody's used the hose. The previous homeowner probably put some plants here. And I think she wanted them here, and I think she soaked the walls. So it's one of the two and or both. Grew a lot of black, just enough that we could do it ourselves and not call anybody else in.
This is some of the drywall we took off the ceiling now. Again,
here's what I love about this. You're seeing dripping marks. So these are all dripping marks that just dripped with a little bit of water because this is all so dirty, right? It's just gonna pick it up, and it's showing the drips, but this became a puddle.
Ah, so the ice dam built up, you're thinking, got to the warm air, started melting it, drip, drip, drip.
That's what I think.
Okay.
And it's probably not going to help it that there is no ventilation whatsoever in that. So we need Steve to come in, look at the roof and all the vents, escapes, and we need him to also look at how we're going to vent this.
Well, we have the same issue on the rear of the home. We have plywood soffit, under-ventilated soffit. We're going to create larger openings and cover the plywood with some new aluminum vented panels.
Well, it looks like they put in a new panel, eh?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Frank, that one's dead. And this one's dead too, Frank.
What have you found so far?
Well, next to this little bit of sloppy workmanship, I haven't checked the pot lights yet. I haven't found any overloaded circuits. So I do want, because of the sloppiness that I found, I'm gonna open up all the receptacles. I'm gonna make sure that everything's nice and tight. We are allowed to have junction boxes underneath here, as long as they're covered. Yeah. So the only problem with this is that it's not stapled. The whole reason that we've got the jack chain holding the pot light there, they've actually done a good job. from not having the pot light coming crashing down on you. So you want to make sure that they're jack chained so they stay in place and they're safe. So they did that part right. This is loose, it's not even attached. Those conductors right now are open to being hit by anything. We need to fix that. No glue whatsoever. And no glue, no glue.
Well, what we had to do here was we had to get Hydro to come in and disconnect the power. This LB was loose. So I had to basically take it all apart, glue it all up, install it again. And I'm actually installing my last piece of wire here. And as soon as I get this hooked up, I'm calling Hydro so they can come turn the power back on.
A couple little things I'm seeing right off the bat. Very sloppy job, a lot of air leakage. See, what this does is it blows smoke. You can see all the air leakage you got here, all the smoke blowing out. And this is just in the furnace area. See, like the return air itself, you'll see it draw it in. So a lot of air leakage in around this furnace. Okay, we found a return air on the second floor that was having an issue with not drawing enough air. And there's just a large cavity that was drywalled in the front here. We removed the drywall. Problem is, this void is just too big. You got a lot of air leakage that the cavities, you know, they nail in the wood, a lot of air leakage in between. A furnace can only deliver as much air as it's supplied. Since we're not getting much air from the second floor return, it's causing poor circulation up in those floors. This being a cold garage, no insulation on this wall. One, it's taking the cold right through into that return. I've noticed right here through the brickwork, this is open from the garage into this return. If they park this car in the garage and they have it started wintertime, it's gonna suck the fumes from the car into this opening and draw it back throughout the whole house. So this is an issue, we have to address it. At this point, it's just running a ductwork from here all the way up to the joist cavities above and running it all up to tie in our return. Once they spray foam around this, it'll be insulated, and we'll be drawing actually just from the cavity up on the second floor.
So you scope the drain.
Yeah, obviously clear signs of a sewer backup. This thing's been going on for obviously a number of years. Blockage was created, and then the homeowner discovered a backup.
So why did this back up?
It was blocked. The line outside on the city side has been upgraded. Some work has been done to it. What we see in the basement is the original clay pipe. What I see is approximately 25 feet from here, I'm getting into a dip. So I don't have any sort of physical obstructions. What I'm getting is just a sludge buildup. And if there's any leak coming from the clay pipe or the joints, the soil gets saturated and then it just becomes unstable, so the pipe may lose that right slope.
Well, I'm gonna recommend a backflow preventer, and I'm also gonna recommend we kick out the downspout.
Well, we know Dan had a problem when he had a backup in his basement. We know that it was on the city side. The city side allowed sewage, raw sewage, to actually back up into Dan's basement. So what we have to do is dig down and find the connection to the city side. What we're gonna get Martin to do is install a back water valve right here so we never have any issues from the city side backing back in here.
All right, we got this thing all excavated and exposed. We found some surprises. It was actually a leak from a sanitary line caused by pretty much a little bit of a tree roots as well as a poor connection between the plastic and the clay pipe. So it's actually a good thing that we dug up here. We will be able to rectify that. But the main reason is to install the back water valve. This device will protect the house from any backups that could happen from the outside of the house.
During Mike's inspection, he found some problems with the gas line feeding the fireplace in the basement. They actually did a couple bad things here. They went from one size pipe to another, from bigger to smaller. A lot of the line was touched up against the duct, copper touching metal, not a good thing. So we're just gonna replace this gas line. We're gonna run a solid line through, make sure it's coated. So we're just gonna replace this whole copper line.
Well, we replaced the front eaves trough across this lower roof, basically for one main reason. Both the neighbor's home and the home we're working on, the downpipes went into an old clay weeping tile. So we've redirected the downpipe to the middle. It's going to drain out down between the driveways, basically to eliminate any drainage issues or a wet basement situation.
Our air volume, our CFMs, is reading it's anywhere between 480 and 485. My temperature is actually high. I'm in at about 25.4 degrees Celsius. So once we start sealing up that ductwork, sealing up our supply, sealing up our return, I want to increase our air volume, our CFMs, and I'm hoping to drop my temperature. Right now I got a lot of air, just my temperature is really high. So we're going to try to improve on that.
Nope, that's not the light stuff. This is gonna take a while. Come back tomorrow. Hi. I wouldn't want to be having a beer down there when the exhaust was running on his bike. We're getting a new garage door today. The door was falling apart. If we're going to this length of actually warming up this area, spray foaming it, prepping it, I want to give him a new door. Dan did call us about a lot of problems with this house, one of them being that he had a cold room. This is Dan's bedroom right above the garage. He was freezing. We always know what it is. It's a lack of insulation or improper insulation. This is why we spray foam garages, and Dan will no longer be cold. It also gives us a barrier between the carbon monoxide and the house. It's a closed cell foam. We had issues with the jut out of the bathroom. They did cantilever this. We don't see this often, but we had to take care of it, meaning we had to insulate underneath the cantilever and come up around the plate. It's what we have to do to make sure Dan is warm.
The existing trough here is in great shape. With the large mature trees around, we got to install the smart screen. It's going to give it some extra added strength. It's going to keep all the debris, all the leaves out of it, and they're not going to have any more problems.
This is a new type of underpad. It is called EcoFoam. It's especially designed for basements because it is waterproof and it's also breathable. So in case you have a leak or anything on the basement, this underpad won't suck the water at all, so it will stay under the concrete. It will dry out eventually.
Whenever you have a continuous attic leading from one neighbor's side to the next, you want to put up what's called a firewall. That's what we have here.
It stops the fire from leaping from one garage to the next until help arrives.
And we're good.
I'm doing one last piece of a plumbing job here. I'm replacing a hose bib which was in the garage. Old standard hose bib. I'm installing a frost-free unit, which gives me a peace of mind that in the winter, if the temperature drops, if the garage, for instance, stays open for an extensive period of time, I'm not going to run into a risk of that line bursting if it freezes. So frost-free hose bib, and then bring it reconnected to the rest of the system, and I'll be done.
At the beginning, we had Gary come in, do a CFM test, cubic feet per minute, so we're looking for velocity and airflow. He tested this specific register. He had 480 on the CFMs, and he had a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. So since then, we have insulated underneath, completely re-drywalled, and he has taped all the main trunk downstairs so we don't have any air leakage. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna run my tester over top of it to see the difference. 671. Look at the temperature, 17.8. So that's about a 30% improvement to the temperature and about 40% more airflow. That's a huge difference. The furnace no longer has to work as hard to cool or even heat this house. Man, that's money in the bank. Little tools all home inspectors should have, let me tell you.
I'm sure when Mike's through, it's going to be a safe and clean home. I'm going to be able to breathe clean air. I'm not going to have to worry about a sewage backup, which is going to ruin the air again. And I'll be happy to actually live here instead of just dealing with one problem after the other. Maybe have a social life again. That'll be nice.
So it is our last day, and the guys did a fantastic job of prepping this for me. So it's there. We have Frank coming in to hang some lights, do some switch plates, but it's the kiss of death, but I'm gonna say it, maybe an early day.
Dan the man.
Mike. Damon, thanks,
nice to see you. You got a new door. This is a thermal broken door. The reason we want to do a thermal door is to stop that major cold air from coming in and affecting the ceiling. You have a nice little keypad here, so it's great remote control. And on the outside, we had Steve Graves come in. You have all new soffit throughout your whole house because we want to make sure we ventilate your attic space.
Holy cow. Looks amazing.
Well, this was completely gutted. You remember what it looked like before, right? It was opened right up. We made sure we had a firewall between you and your neighbor. This wall here, everything's solved. Studded down to the floor, insulated completely underneath, filling that void and then coming up the wall. We fixed your neighbor's wall as well, and we fixed the eaves troughs and downspouts at the front of the house for you and your neighbor.
That's awfully kind.
We had the brick wall here, then we had a studded wall. So they spray foamed all of that all the way up, sealed off everything else of all the problems that we had of gases coming in your house. All this new drywall here is mold resistant because it's what we use. And it looks good, eh?
It does look, it looks fantastic. Mike's come in and completely redid the entire garage, way beyond my expectations. It looks fantastic. It feels fantastic and warm in there. Now that everything's sealed from the garage, I'm not gonna have any of that carbon monoxide coming in anymore. It's just gonna be nice, clean air throughout the house. It's not bad.
Now take a deep breath.
Smells clean.
Mm-hmm. It's because you have new carpet. We pulled out your moldy, musty, kind of wet carpet. New carpet, handrail on the stairs, which is provided by minimum code and courtesy of Damon, Bennett, and the rest of the crew putting it in.
Thank you, sir.
Just
no problem.
New trim, new doors. We want to make sure we do louver doors, right? So these are actually quite wide doors, both here and in that location over there. I'll just open this one for a second so we can talk about this. If you were to look in, and go ahead, you can.
Looks like the floor has been dug up.
Dug up, let me see. That was minor jackhammering, pull the concrete. By digging all that, throwing in a backflow preventer, new piping, what this is going to do is save any issues of a backflow coming back in again.
That's fantastic.
It kind of saves the carpet, we do. I like what Gary did. He first did an air test with CFM, the little toys that we have, the meters. He did his smoke test around the furnace, major bleeding of air coming off your furnace and the main trunk line. Since then, we have taped everything up, siliconed the furnace. By doing all this, what you're actually going to do is now use your furnace at full efficiency. You're going to save money, have more airflow. You're going to be cooler in the summer and hotter in the winter.
I'm feeling much cooler right now in this house. That's making me feel pretty good. With the air conditioning on, which isn't even running right now, and it's just steady temperature. I can tell you before, that air conditioner never turned off.
Now, something I like.
Wow.
Something safe and secure. Now, we did not. Isn't that pretty good?
It's beautiful.
Remember the other one?
Yeah, the one that was falling off every time you went to put your hand on it.
If you look in the back, what do you see?
I see 2 giant new windows and a painted wall.
The inspector said that if you just do a quick paint touch-up and some caulking, you're going to save money more on putting in new windows. Here's why I'm going to disagree. With the thermal pane glass and an airtight window that performs better than your older windows, once again, your furnace is going to run less. So we're trying to save you money here. I think we're doing pretty good. Oh, they almost look bigger, eh?
They do.
I don't know why, but when I came in, I said, did we make them bigger? And I know we didn't.
Well, for one, you can see through them and they're crystal clear.
Maybe that's it. Now, you remember we talked about your closet in your bedroom, right? Now, your closet was hot when it was not supposed to be and cold when it was because you actually had frozen clothes in there.
I did.
Okay. Remember, I told you we were going to take down the soffit outside the door. So we insulate the floor. That was your main impact. Plus, we had a direct line from the peak over top of the garage. That peak, that attic space over top of the garage was bleeding cold air right into that cavity. So by buttering that and actually stopping that cold air from coming underneath, you're not going to freeze in that closet anymore. Now, it wasn't just the problem of that floor underneath the closet, but it was in your room is where we have the back split. So we have a wall that meets really the third floor, but it's the second floor of the back split. Here's your bedroom. This wall had no insulation. And had the inspector gone up and actually not just stuck his camera up and taken a picture and took a look, he would have realized all insulation that was there had fallen out. And there was even areas there wasn't insulation. So not only did you not have enough insulation, you had problems with the insulation and you had problems with the venting. So we made sure that Alex and his boys came in. All those walls are spray foamed. We've added more cellulose blown-in insulation. So once again, putting that big thick blanket on the bed, which is in your attic, is now going to hold the cool and hold the heat.
Can't wait to try it out. You know, put on the air conditioning a bit higher and see if I can freeze. Amazing the difference upstairs now compared to what it was after Mike has properly insulated the walls and fixed the ventilation. It's much nicer in those rooms. Definitely something I can live in now instead of, well, boil in the summer and freeze in the winter.
Now, how much do you think this all cost, what we did?
Easily above $50,000.
Wow, you're right on the money. 50 grand. So that's my present to you. It was your birthday, wasn't it?
It was the beginning of the year.
Well, it's your birthday anyways. Dan,
thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure meeting you. Do you have any questions before we go?
Thank you. No, I honestly don't. I'm just thrilled to come home and, you know, see everything is just fantastic. I can't wait to just live at my house again.
Oh, yeah. Happy days.
Well, thank you guys for an amazing job, and cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Good job, guys. Good job.
Oh my God, it's a spider! Hey, little guy.
I really can't hear you well with that one. What? I'm sorry? What?
Sorry.